How would you like to improve your health and keep your family safe? You're listening to the Healthy Home Hacks podcast, where we firmly believe enjoying optimal health shouldn't be a luxury. Healthy Home Authorities and husband and wife team Ron and Lisa will help you create a home environment that will level up your health. It's time to hear from the experts. Listen in on honest conversations and gain the best tips and advice. If you're ready to dive in and improve your well-being and increase your energy, you're in the right place. All right, here are your hosts, bowel biologists, authors, media darlings, vicarious vegans, and avocado aficionados, Ron and Lisa Barris.
This episode of Healthy Home Hacks is brought to you by Boren, world leader in homeopathic medicines. Is stress overload causing you some sleepless nights? Do you want to rest easier by supporting your body with a better way to feel better? For 90 years, Boren has been dedicated to providing your family with the purest medicines made from the Earth's best resources. Boren's Sleep Calm for adults and kids are melatonin-free sleep aids with no next-day grogginess. The melt-away tablets for adults and individual liquid doses for kids are non-habit-forming and have no drug interactions. From stress to sleep, pain relief, allergies, and more, Boren has got you and your family covered with affordable homeopathic remedies that are easy to find online and in natural product stores nationwide. Help your body the natural way with gentle, worry-free formulas for even the littlest ones in your family. Visit BorenUSA.com, that's BOIRONUSA.com, to find the nearest retailer or buy direct using code RL20OFF. That's RL20OFF to save 20% off your entire purchase.
Sleep. It's joyful. It's relaxing. It's essential. And it's a struggle for most people and even children today, especially with back-to-school schedule changes.
That's right. And did you know between 50 and 70 million Americans suffer from chronic sleep disorders today? Approximately 30 to 35% of adults complain of insomnia. 1 in every 25 Americans relies on prescription sleep medication, and more than 1/3 of adults do not get enough sleep on a consistent basis. That is exhausting.
If you're listening, perhaps you can relate. In an effort to get some shut-eye, many people turn to meds, but the side effects can be dangerous. If lack of sleep is affecting your mood, zapping your energy, clouding your cognitive function, or interfering with your ability to get through the day without sugar highs and unsightly eye bags, counting sheep may soon be a distant memory. There are natural solutions that won't have you feeling drowsy with drug side effects the next day.
Our guest today, Dr. Payam Hakimi, is here to shed light on this very topic. Dr. Hakimi is a board-certified family physician. He has quite a diverse medical training, and he has merged his specialized alternative medical modalities to create a comprehensive practice. And he serves as the medical director of Body of Harmony in Beverly Hills, California, and Miami, Florida. Dr. Hakimi practices integrative and functional medicine, IV nutrition, stem cell therapy, anti-aging medicine, osteopathic manipulation, cranial osteopathy, and clinical homeopathy.
While finishing his residency, he was elected chief resident and assistant clinical professor at the USC Keck School of Medicine. He is a key instructor for teaching medical students, professionals, the public, the art of science of integrative medicine. He is currently a senior teaching faculty with the Center for Education and Development of Clinical Homeopathy in the U.S. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hakimi.
Thank you, you guys. You guys are amazing. Ron and Lisa, I'm glad to be here with you guys.
We're trying to live up to your height, Dr. Hakimi. So
yes, exactly. We are thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for being with us today. This is such an important topic. I bet there's no one listening who doesn't suffer from some sort of sleep issue or ailment. So this show is for everybody today.
Exactly, because sleep issues can affect us actually during our lifetime because of different reasons. It can be just a situational issue where, someone is going through a stressful time. There's some sleep issues. And then some of us actually have chronic insomnia and problem with falling asleep. We're going to go over this, but some of us are actually on medications that cause sleep abnormalities. So a lot of the medications that we use can also cause sleep abnormalities. And as you said, I see sleep conditions, low back pains, but the highest number of sort of the reason that people actually come to their physicians and or go to emergency room because of these reasons. So sleep is important. And obviously, you know how important that sleep is, because if we don't sleep well,
we're just a zombie. We're zombie. We're zombies. We're walking around zombies. Did you say low back problem are part of what's causing the sleep issues, or they kind of just go hand in hand?
No, these two are the most reasons that people come to doctor's offices. Is either low back pain or sleep issues separated from one another. Unless the low back pain is causing the sleep abnormality, they can be together. Otherwise, biggest things that brings patients to our office, sleep is very important, and it changes as we age. Our sleep changes. We're going to talk about kids and how much sleep they need. And then we know as we age, the sleep changes, and we go through different periods of time where sleep is needed more. Like if we're going through, let's say, an illness, let's say an upper respiratory infection, or what with COVID, we see a lot of our patients say they actually need more sleep than before.
Yeah. Ron and I just recovered from COVID, and that was shocking. I did not know I was capable of that much sleep. All I did was sleep for the first 3 days. I couldn't even watch a TV show. I was too tired to just sit there and watch a show.
Yeah. What day is it? I feel like there's so much time flew by.
Yeah. It was bizarre.
Yeah. So, well, Dr. Hakimi, you mentioned this earlier. So why is sleep so important, especially this time of year when kids return to school and experience many disruptions in their schedules? What can parents do?
So sleep is important, obviously, because we know healing happens in sleep. Body resets itself in sleep. Body rejuvenates itself when we're sleeping. So this function of sort of being unplugged and letting the system do its job properly and getting things back in order is very important for us, especially for young kids. As they're growing, they need more sleep. And let's look at it. You know, they get up early in the morning, they have to be rushed to school, and then, you know, they're in school the rest of the day, and then they come home. And obviously there's a lot more activities that happens nowadays with kids going to martial arts and going to learn music and everything else. So their brain is always being used throughout the day. The brain needs to shut off for a while so that it can actually regenerate itself and regenerate all its neurophysiology and all the hormones that are in the brain that make it think properly, focus properly, has a lot to do with the mood. So these actually are very important, especially at this young age for kids. And we know that, you know, having the summer off and relaxing and staying up a little bit longer and then needing to go back to school, you know, needs to go back to a regular sleeping hour. And then there might be a little bit of anxiety involved with, I'm going to go back to schools. Am I going to see some of my friends, or am I going to see, you know, I'm going to have a different teacher. So there is a little bit of anxiety definitely involved with that. And we all know as adults, whenever we're stressed out a little bit, that sleep always gets pushed back just a little bit.
Yeah. It's crazy how it can affect you on such subtle levels, like just knowing you have an important meeting the next day, or, you know, just silly little things can stop you from sleeping. Okay. So many people hail melatonin as the holy sleep grail, but what do we know about using melatonin for sleep? And can you shed a little light with our listeners on some of the common misconceptions about it?
Of course. Melatonin is a good molecule to use for adults, and we use it for many different reasons. And there's new research that talks about, you know, high doses of melatonin being used for cancer, or being used for diabetes, being used for sleep. But melatonin is, or was specifically given to people who had jet lag, or they basically had a hard time falling asleep because they're a nighttime worker and their circadian rhythm is a little bit off, and they needed to have this molecule so that they can sleep better. Melatonin is a natural hormone that's released in the body sort of as the day is sort of coming close to an end. And then as the light is going down, we have more production of melatonin in the brain that helps us calm down and slowly go to sleep. So melatonin is very important in our body for sleep, but was mainly used for a jet lag and also for people who work at night. They work night shifts and they need to change that. But then we started giving it to kids as well. And there are not a lot of good research that tell us what melatonin is doing in kids and what's a good milligram dosage for kids. And, a lot of our kids, based on their sensitivities, can have actually reactions to it. They can basically have melatonin and then have a hard time getting up in the morning or be groggy throughout the day and not learn in school as much as they're supposed to do.
So it's the opposite effect. So that's one of the drawbacks for children potentially, is that they're intending to help them sleep better, right? But they're taking melatonin and basically it's disrupting their day.
Exactly. Melatonin is sort of became known as this natural molecule that everyone can use, along with the rest of the supplements that are out there. There's 5-HTP, there's L-tryptophan, there is passion flower, valerian root. I mean, the amount of ingredients that we can use for sleep is a lot. But we have to make sure that in this age group where the body is changing, the hormones are changing, and some of our kids, as they grow, they're going to go through puberty. We need to make sure that the amount of physiological changes and physiological stimulation that we do in the brain is less than adults, because as adults basically reached our plateau. And so the melatonin is going to work this as opposed to with kids. So it's really important to figure out the dosage. And again, unfortunately, there's not a lot of good research that tells us this is a good milligram dosage for kids. And again, it creates some side effects with some of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a side note, though, I'm curious, so I'm a napper and I know I'm an adult, right? Does napping help? Like if you just can't make it through 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. and take a 5-minute nap, is that really helping us, or is it different for everybody?
Napping is one of the most important things that we can do for our body. That 10-minute nap during the day rejuvenates the brain. A lot of countries, as you know, actually have that sort of mandatory napping at your desk where, we don't have that. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to do that. However, the napping actually regenerates a lot of the brain physiology because we go through certain phases like alpha waves, and that alpha wave sort of brings back the natural physiology and sort of recenters the brain a little bit. So napping, most important thing.
Wasn't Albert Einstein napped every day? I mean, if that doesn't tell us something, I don't know what. I need to nap more. I need to channel my inner Albert. I don't nap at all. I actually feel worse, where Ron can nap for 5 minutes and he's like, wow, I feel like $1 million. And I'm like, what? I wake up feeling worse. So I don't nap.
Well, I mean, look at Einstein's hair. It's always bushy. It seemed like he was always getting.
He was always napping.
He had bedhead, right? So I had no idea. I thought that was his style.
That's where you get it, Ron. Well,
thank you.
Dr. Hakimi, going back to melatonin, one of the things that really surprised me when I was preparing for this show was that melatonin, even though our body, it's a natural hormone, the supplements are actually synthetically produced by a chemical process. So the melatonin that people are taking, whether it's adults or children, isn't actually natural. Is that correct?
So yes, the term natural is we use when we're using a hormone or a molecule in the body, like B complex, B12, and these are all sort of considered natural. But when we produce them, we cannot get them from a natural source. That means we cannot get them. Remember, things that are inside someone's body, inside someone's brain. So we have to make them synthetically and use them synthetically. So although they come very close to the natural melatonin that we have in our body, it might not necessarily be exactly the same thing. And also it's been produced chemically. You're absolutely right.
Wow. Yeah. So people don't think that. They think it's just, if, your body makes it, I don't know. I guess people don't dig that deep to find out like how things are made and where they're sourced and all of that.
I think that's one of the issues that we have is our parents actually think that because something is considered natural, that means that it's okay to use. But we see symptoms, we see side effects, we see abnormalities sometimes because people are using these natural ingredients and without knowing that what's the effect and what's the side effect. And that sometimes causes issues. Let's look at probiotic, which is, something that we recommend to a lot of our patients, but some of our patients don't need it. And just taking probiotics can cause issues for them, like digestive abnormalities, abdominal pain. I've even seen acne because people were using double dose of probiotic without needing it. So just because something is considered natural, that does not mean that we have to go for it and use it.
Right.
That's a good point. I'm curious too. So with melatonin, our body naturally produces it. Does it stop producing as much when you're supplementing it with a synthetic? Is it like, for example, is it a crutch making you even like weaker off later from producing your own melatonin?
I don't think there is a specific research that shows us if melatonin stops producing itself. But your point is very valid, because we know when we give someone thyroid, we give them sort of thyroid medications, or we give them testosterone. A lot of our worries with thyroid and testosterone treatment is basically we're getting the gland, the physiological organ that makes and produces these hormones, that says, if I'm getting it from outside, why should I produce it myself? So it stops functioning. We have not seen that with melatonin. There's no studies that shows people who use melatonin supplements actually stop making their own melatonin. But we don't know, because melatonin does not have blood chemistry values. So it's nothing that we can actually check directly in blood and say, oh, your levels are low, let us give you more. There are certain esoteric tests that might test for it, but again, they're not specific values. And so it's really hard to figure out if someone's melatonin is low, or in response to taking melatonin, their melatonin has decreased.
Oh, excellent. Well, Dr. Hakimi, switching gears here, what are the main advantages of homeopathy for sleep disruption?
Ron, I've been practicing homeopathy since 2005, and I teach doctors to practice homeopathy as well. The use of homeopathy, because of the fact that these are ingredients that are found in nature, and we're using them in very diluted amounts, comparing to, let's say, melatonin, which we say 3 milligrams, or we say 6 milligrams. Homeopathic medications are so diluted that you're not going to find any milligrams of them in the homeopathic medication. So in essence, most of the ingredient is diluted, and homeopathic medications are used to stimulate the body to do something. So let's say, again, we're going to stay with this example and say melatonin, we know that creates an effect of sleeping on the brain. And the more melatonin you use, obviously, the higher this effect is going to get. So based on the milligram dosages that you're going to use, this effect is going to get more. But in homeopathic medication, there's very minimal amounts of any ingredient. So you're basically not pushing the body to do anything. You're stimulating the body. You're giving it its small ingredients that it needs. You're basically sending messages to the body and telling the body, this is what you need to be doing right now, which is sleeping. So you're completely different than the supplements. And a lot of the time, this is something that we need to correct with a lot of my patients come in and they say they use homeopathics. And when I ask and I say, what homeopathic are you using? And they tell me and they say melatonin, or they're using turmeric. And I have to explain that homeopathy is so diluted that you're not going to have any milligram dosages. So that's the advantage of homeopathy, that it's only going to stimulate the body to do something, but it's not going to overcorrect it. Meaning with melatonin, you're going to get the effect, which is sleeping. But if it gets overcorrected, then you get groggy during the day. With homeopathic medication, you're not going to have that effect. You're only going to get the sleep effect and not the grogginess, because there's not a lot of ingredients in there.
Wow, that's interesting. And also that there's no danger of dependence on homeopathy medications, and that they really don't have side effects, right? That you would see with over-the-counter and other kind of sleep aids and other medications.
We have not seen side effects with homeopathic medications because of the fact that there's minimal ingredients in them, and they're just to stimulate the body. But as you said, there is no dependence. That means, I might give the homeopathic medication for sleep to one of my patients for the duration of the time that they're going through a stressful situation. And right after that, I can take it away, and it's not going to cause any dependence. It's not going to cause any other abnormalities. What we see, it's amazing that some of our patients actually respond by being agitated and hyperactive when they take melatonin. It's a reverse reaction that some patients have, where they take them melatonin and they can't sleep at night. You're not going to see any of those effects or side effects with homeopathic medications. Again, they're natural, the amount so minimal that is just to help encourage the body to do something.
I love that concept. I know Ron and I were on a vacation, and we were with a couple, and the guy was on some heavy, I think it was Ambien, a heavy sleep medication. And we were up with his wife playing games, and he came out and he had this whole conversation with us, and we were like, oh, that's great. Do you want to play? He said, no. He talked to us for a while. He went back to bed. He had no recollection of the entire conversation the next day. He didn't remember talking to us. It was really creepy. And I know we've all heard a lot of crazy stories about people making bread I think it was my mom's friend got up and made loaves and loaves of bread and like had no recollection of it the next day. At least she was doing something productive. But that's scary. It's really scary to think of what you could do. You're in an altered state, right? So I thought I'd throw that out there if you're listening. So what are supplements like melatonin in gummy form? Why is that problematic? We're seeing so many gummies now, gummy everything, for kids and adults, right? I mean, everybody wants to take something that tastes good. Is that a problem for melatonin?
Gummies, one of the issues that a lot of functional medicine doctors who practice more natural medicine are having right now, because in one point we say, well, let's give them melatonin, but let's also add a lot of sugars and other ingredients, that fillers and everything else that we don't know what's their effect to your kids. And the sugars are going to actually sort of make the kids a little bit hyper. And that's not the most of the problem. The problem is that these things are, number one, going to cause a physiological effect in the body with revving up the body a little bit. On the other hand, they actually taste good. And we know that studies have shown that there has been multiple numbers of accidental use of gummies by kids just because it tastes good. And, it's sort of the last resort that the parents have. It's like they sit there with the kid and the kid does not go to bed. And, they also have to sleep because the next day they have to go to work. And then at a certain point, they give up and they say, well, here's a melatonin, and it tastes good. And sometimes you see kids go after finding these bottles and have, huge doses of these things. And studies have shown that is one of the problems, accidental use of these things or overuse of these things. The other thing is the amount of melatonin that given in each of these does not necessarily stay constant. So one night you're giving your kid a melatonin less than what it says on the package, and then another night you might be giving them something that's much stronger and much higher. So we cannot keep that sort of stable. And on the other hand, here's the amazing thing is we're just giving our children a natural thing per se, but we're using sugars and everything that goes with it and active ingredients and cartilage and everything else.
Ooh, cartilage. Thank you. For the vegans out there, fellow vegans, say you don't want to be ingesting cartilage. Okay. And now if you guys are non-vegans and you like cartilage, go for it. Go for it. But a lot of people don't know gummies, right? Dr. Hakimi, gummies and gelatin capsules. Tell us about that.
Exactly. I mean, we have gelatin capsules that are specifically made for vegetarians. So we can actually, a lot of our supplements, on Body of Harmony, a lot of my supplements are based on vegetarian capsules because it can be anything. And not only it's one thing to say we are vegetarian and we're vegan and we don't want to be on it. The other thing is, what reaction is this causing in your body? If you have a cap that's not vegetarian and it has some other molecule in it, what's in there and where did it come from? And what reaction is it causing in your body? Is it actually damaging your body a little bit more that you don't know of? So we're trying to fix something and then we're adding something else to the body.
Yeah.
So we're adding mad cow disease.
Mad cow, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think a lot of people know that comes from cartilage of animals, cows and pigs, right? Or is it just cows? I don't know. The first time I heard that, which really wasn't that long ago, I was like, what? I had spent a lot of my life, taking supplements, not even paying attention to something that's such an easy fix, right? You don't even have to be vegan to go, well, I don't think I want cartilage, unnecessarily from an animal in my body. And then, going back to, we have, an epidemic of obesity. Childhood obesity is really on the rise. And you've got artificial food dyes and fillers. And like you said, the sugar and maybe even artificial sweeteners. We don't know what they're putting in these vitamins and these supplements marketed towards children.
And dyes. These gummies have to have a purple color or a red color or a blue color. So where's that color coming from? And melatonin is not that color. So, you're adding all these things. And then we worry about some of our kids having ADD and ADHD. And we said, well, where's this coming from? A lot of where it's coming from is what's in their diet, what they're eating. And again, it can be these natural stuff that we think, well, these are absolutely natural and amazing, but the unnatural sweeteners and everything else that's in there can be the culprit.
Yeah. And that's the last thing. And then like kids going to bed and sucking on these gummies right before they go to sleep also can contribute to tooth decay and all of that too.
Oh, I have a story there. I actually, for some reason, I self-medicated my throat with cough drops for multiple days when I was like 12 years old, like every night for like a week.
Because they probably
my sore
had
throat
sugar
went
in
away
them.
and I was like, I'm still going to continue this because I never, ever want a sore throat. And I went to the dentist. I think I had like 11 cavities. It was crazy.
Oh my God. I used to eat cough drops for fun. Yeah, for fun. Now we're dishing all our dirty secrets, Dr. Hakimi. I don't know. There was a brand that was kind of chewy and I thought they were like cherry flavored and I just ate them like candy. I do remember doing that. Like I was stupid. I was just stupid. Your brain's not developed till you're 25. So you're going to do dumb things. But one of Ron and I's favorite companies is called Boren, and they manufacture homeopathic medications, including sleep medication, one of which is called Sleep Calm. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And if so, can you explain to our listeners how it works?
Of course, yeah. I'm familiar with Sleep Calm. I'll give it to a lot of my patients as first line because in my office, it's all about treating things as much as we can with homeopathic medications first. Then we go to supplements. Then, we do IV nutritions and everything else. And all of those come sort of at a later stage. But so homeopathy first. And the reason for homeopathy first, again, we said they're made from ingredients in nature. They have no side effects that we have seen so far. And they don't make people groggy or sleepy or tired or wired or anything else. And that's the most important thing about it is the fact that the most important part of homeopathic medication is the fact that they do not cause any side effects and they are natural and they're stimulating the body to get certain things done. A lot of the medications that we give to our patients or natural supplements like melatonin, they force the kid to fall asleep because we're raising a hormone in their body. But homeopathic medications are stimulating the body to get its job done. The Sleep Calm, the important thing about Sleep Calm is that it has multiple ingredients in them. And these ingredients can help the child, number one, with falling asleep, with staying asleep, with the anxiety that they might have for falling asleep, with the bad dreams that they might have at night. So, and then when they wake up in the morning, they're actually refreshed. So there is a major change and a lot of the times I have to take kids from supplements and medications back to homeopathic medications. And we see the change in their day-to-day life because when they wake up in the morning, they're not fatigued. They're not groggy. They don't have an attitude.
Oh, parents, did you hear that? No attitudes. Get this product. Sleep Calm Kids. It'll be worth every penny. Parents of teens, quickly.
Sleep Calm is great. It has helped a lot of my patients and it is my number one source. If anyone has any sleep issues, we go to Sleep Calm first. And that usually gets the job done. I'm not talking about adults, as you mentioned, are on strong medications. In that case, there is a period of detoxifying them from the medication, bringing them down to a supplement first, slowly detoxing them from that as well and bringing them down back to a homeopathic medication. So it takes a little bit of time. But with kids, because we don't use medication, it's very easy to go from melatonin right away to Sleep Calm and see the effect.
Oh, okay. So that's good to know. They can make that switch. But like if you're on heavy medication and you're listening, you do want to do a little detox transition, correct? Like you don't want to go cold turkey.
Yes, it's good to see a functional medicine doctor, a functional medicine pediatrician, or, a homeopath who knows what they're doing so that they can actually slowly take the kid from the medications and slowly put them, in a dosage change, sort of put them back on a homeopathic patient and keep them there.
Yeah, I think that's so fantastic. If you are new to homeopathy and this is the first time that you are hearing about it, Boren, I think, has been around for 90 years. They originated in France and they have 250 homeopathic remedies. We actually found them. A lot of people know of their cold and flu medicine. Do you know how to say it, Dr. Hakimi? Because I pronounce it wrong.
I want to see how you guys pronounce, because that's one of my patients.
Acecilium.
Okay, close. Ron.
Acecilium. Oh, well.
You copied me. Okay. Yeah. How do you pronounce it?
It's
oscillococcinum.
Oh.
Oscillococcinum?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We get the cox in there. Okay. Oscillococcinum. Yeah. It is the best. It is the best if you have a cold or flu at the first signs. You take that puppy and you will be golden. And there's Throat Calm. I'm giving them plugs here just because their products are so incredible. And their products have no known drug interaction. So if you are taking something, you're not going to have to worry. Like Dr. Hakimi said, you don't have these side effects and these known drug interactions and all of these potential for addiction and dependence and things like this. Low side effects, if any. So check them out. In fact, we're giving away $200 Amex gift card where you can shop till you drop for homeopathic remedies. And we're also giving away a sleep box that's going to be loaded with some of the products we talked about: Sleep Calm for adults, which is 12 and older, and then Sleep Calm Kids, which is 3 years and older. And then they also have stress tablets, Stress Calm, which I don't know who couldn't use that today. We live in a very stressful world. Instead of reaching for that, glass of wine or vodka or cup of coffee, think about maybe there's something that your body needs, something that can assist it to get that stress. Because, it's a stressful world. It really is. And there's nothing wrong with feeling stressful, but it's just, how do we manage that? Like, we need good techniques that aren't going to cause us all these other problems, right? Like being drugged up and reaching for addictive substances. So, Dr. Hakimi, can you leave us with some tips, like parents who are struggling with this back to school, besides the homeopathic remedies? What other things can they do, like maybe to create a dark room or electronics, things like that, like some natural tips that they could implement like today to help with?
Electronics that you said, I think is the major thing, because kids are on iPhones and all these electronic gadgets, and the blue light obviously is going to change the way the brain functions, the brain physiology, as well as the fact that we know. And in my house with Shiva, my wife, the rule is, as we turn lights off, they don't turn back on. So you create this effect that as if, it's becoming night and things are dimming out and they're not coming back on anymore, which basically creates the natural melatonin. So why should we give it to kids when we can actually create it ourselves, right? So as you turn lights off or you dim, we have a lot of dimmers in the house. As you dim things down, don't dim it back up. Don't turn it back on. That way you're actually going to get this effect as if, things are winding down. Your brain will understand it. It will get the messages that it needs to shut off at a certain point. So that would be sort of the number one. The other thing is, as you said, right now, we're stressed out. There's so much information out there. There's so many stressors out there nowadays. And it's very important that within the 2-3 hours before sleep, we cut all out. I even tell my adult patients, don't watch the news at night, because, we'll rev you up. And guess what? You're releasing hormones in your body that are not going to let you sleep. So cut that out so that there is nothing. If you want to see anything or watch anything, it can be, with kids, we can do little puzzles or stories that they want. With adults, it's mostly watching, programs that are funny, because we know production of serotonin. When we laugh, production of serotonin. Serotonin is a deactivating molecule. Its job is to help us sleep. It's that fuzzy feeling that we get as we sleep. That's all serotonin. So you can rev up your serotonin at night by watching something funny, but by, having something. The other thing is, everybody
loves Raymond. Go back and watch those reruns
of that.
Shiva and I, my wife and I, are now hooked on Taxi, right? We're going back to watching. And Latka has become our favorite person at this time.
I love it. I know. All those good comedies. It's so true, Dr. Hakimi. I mean, I don't watch anything violent. I don't watch anything horror or scary as a rule of thumb, because I used to. And then sure enough, if I was by myself in the shower, I'd have like not only crazy visions of, someone coming in and like murdering me, but I would dream. I would have horrible dreams. I would have nightmares that night. So it's your superconscious and your subconscious that take in the information, whether you like it or not. Whether consciously you go, no, I'm not going to think about that again. Your subconscious will, and it'll seep into your dreams, and it'll seep into your, your day to day, and that fear, like you said, with the news, cutting off the news. I'm a really big believer in that, because we have to sort of program our mind and take control of our thoughts, right? We have to control our thoughts, and why not fill it with something joyful and funny, like you said, before you go to sleep, versus something that you're going to have nightmares all night with? How are you going to have a productive day the next day when you've just had a really stressful night of sleep because you've been thinking about some horror movie? So
I had one odd question for Dr. Hakimi. So like when I go to bed, sometimes I'm just out like a light in 3 seconds. I just fall asleep. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? Did I exhaust myself too much and that's not good? Or is it just good to fall asleep fast?
Well, it depends. If you walk outside, people start beating you up. It's because now they're jealous of you that you can fall asleep right away.
I know.
Okay,
I know. I'm one of those people.
Okay, very good. I guess it's a good thing. I wasn't sure if that meant something, right?
No,
okay. It means you're tired.
No, yes.
Thanks for
I was joking. No, but yes. So a lot of people have really good sleep, and it basically means they can shut off their mind, very easily. A lot of people go to bed and they think, or they're used to thinking, what are they going to do the next day? And how is it going to happen? And why? And what else? So they actually make the bed for thinking and for planning the next day. We should not do that. And you're probably who doesn't do that. You go to bed when you're tired, which is one of the things that we say even for adults when they sleep. Go to bed when you're tired, only when you know you're going to fall asleep. And then when you get there, your job is to sleep. Your job is not to plan the rest of your week, when you're sleeping. So you're basically one of those people who does that. And you also have good physiology where your cortisol is not being produced at night. You actually get your cortisol during the day, which gives you energy. And at night, it starts going away. And your calming molecules, your deactivating hormones like GABA and serotonin come into effect. And these are the ones that knock you out and keep you asleep. So that's the basic explanation of why some people fall asleep much better.
So I'm a deep sleeper, not a deep thinker.
I get a lot done at night. I'm like, oh, I forgot to send that email. Oh, tomorrow I need to do that. So yeah, but no, training yourself to Ron meditates every night. That's probably why you fall asleep really good. You're really, really disciplined about meditating right when you hit the pillow. And so just creating new good habits. And I love your point about the blue light. Use those blue light blocking glasses. Here, I'll demonstrate them because we're going to have this on YouTube. So, ta-da!
Wow, looks good.
This is the studious me.
The showdown.
Ron's going to put his on. Yeah, the blue light blocking glasses. These are great, when you're working at the computer and watching TV, if you are watching TV at night, to kind of, like you said, tone down that, kind of wind down like we would if we were out in nature, right? If we were camping, the light would go out, we would have it dark, and we would wake up when the sun rose, right? Naturally. So kind of, aligning back with like our natural body's rhythms. So I think that's fantastic. And turn off your phones, guys. Please put your phone on airplane mode. All your kids, your teens, turn it off, but at a minimum, put it on airplane mode when they go to bed. Nobody needs their phone on at night. They just don't. Because we're really big into reducing your electromagnetic radiation in and around your home and in and around your sleep environment. So, well, this was incredible, Dr. Hakimi. I learned so much, and I know listeners did too. Friends, if you're ready to dream the impossible dream, rest that racing mind, and enjoy some well-deserved and highly sought-after healthy sleep, head to ronandlisa.com/podcast for a chance to win that $200 Amex card and $85 worth of natural sleep solutions from our friends at Boren.
Thank you, Dr. Hakimi. And to learn more about Dr. Hakimi's work and service, visit bodyofharmony.com. To learn more about natural sleep remedies from Boren, the world's leader in homeopathic medicine, visit bit.ly/Boren Sleep. That's BOIRON sleep.
And we will have all the links in the show notes at ronandlisa.com/podcast. Stay tuned next week, friends, and get ready to up-level your health. See you then. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye, thank you.
Bye, Dr. Hakimi.
Thank you, Dr. Hakimi. Appreciate it.
This episode of the Healthy Home Hacks podcast has ended, but be sure to subscribe for more healthy living strategies and tactics to help you create the healthy home you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best content. See you on the next episode.